Nevertheless, they could not understand that I'm a black man, and I could never be a veteran. Honestly,
Brought to you by Pfizer.
So I'm looking for the steal. Looking for the steal.
In this video, you're going to see the future.
U.S. Treasury is higher.
We are getting the breaking news. We've got a lot up there.
Hello there, you awakening wonders. We are in Britain, the UK 2024, and yet we are free, and that in itself is a kind of miracle. If you're watching us on Rumble, welcome to a free speech platform that will not censor. They will, of course, if you were to incite violence, that's a crime. If you were to use rhetoric that was plainly illegal, that would already be a crime. There are already laws for criminals, but the creation of new laws and the creation of new powers, who will benefit? Let me know in the chat about a Mexican. Carl Rhino, welcome back. Red-pilled Americans, all of you guys, let me know who benefits from new power and new authority, And awakened wonders in the local chat, you let me know as well how you are enjoying the additional access that we grant to you guys over there. We do stand-up comedy analysis over there. We pray, we meditate, we spend good time together trying to better understand the world, and occasionally I do create too much saliva out of the excitement. Caesar 880, Russell Brand does drugs. I'm afraid I do not do drugs and have not done drugs for 21 and a half years, and now I receive the powerful light that is the only drug you will ever need, the light and the truth. The one narcotic, not a narcotic I suppose because that suggests sleep, it is an awakening and powerful energy that we've been granted access to. For the first 15 minutes, wherever you're watching us, you could be watching us on X, you could be watching us on YouTube, you could be watching us, I don't know, in a reflection, in a refrigerator door, in Acapulco. You are free, you can do whatever you want to do. But after that, we're gonna cut the stream and will only be available on Rumble. Why? Because we're talking about the UK. We're talking about censorship and authoritarianism, and we are talking once more, as we were at the beginning of the pandemic, of the way in which crises are exploited in order to legitimize authority. How long has this been going on? How long have we had the pattern of problem, reaction, solution? Let me know who you credit that to. It'll tell me a lot about you. Will you say Chomsky? Will you say Whitney Webb? Will you even say David Icke? We won't judge you, whoever you say, because the principle remains true. We are living increasingly in a globalist authoritarian system that is using as its chief bogeyman the populist nationalist politician who may be a threat. I have no strong view on that, but what's definitely a threat to you are these Kafka-esque, Huxley-esque, insidious, bureaucratic authoritarians who will find a way to control you. This is what we'll be discussing for the majority of today's show. We're going to start off, though, just covering a few things, just having a little bit of fun before we get to the juicy stuff only available on Rumble. That's why if you're watching us on YouTube, you've got to click the link in the description. Get on over there and join us. Now, as you know, we're friends with Tucker Carlson. I'm going on Tucker Carlson's live show in September when he's appearing in Phoenix. Remember, if you are an awakened wonder, we're going to be doing live shows here at our HQ. If you're an awakened wonder, you can come for free whenever you want. You have to apply using post the link, would you, Dan? You have to apply for your ticket there, because otherwise we could be inundated with spies. You know, who knows what kind of Gestapo these new authoritarian regimes will throw up. But we will fight for freedom as long as we have breath in our bodies, and we will continue to have breath in our bodies because of medical measures that we either took or did not take. And here's Tucker Carlson talking about his greatest achievement. It may surprise you. See if you can predict what you think it will be. Stay with us. We'll be talking about Starmageddon in 15 minutes. The new face of authoritarianism, a global phenomenon. Let's have a look, though, first of all, at Tucker Carlson talking about his greatest achievement with the great comedian Dave Smith.
Fauci has COVID? So someone just texted me, and I don't know if this is actually true, but he had 6 shots. I mean, which would make sense. I think that's the recommended amount.
Yeah.
How do you...
Eminem only gets 1 shot. Fauci, you get another 5.
If you've been vaccinated 6 times against something, how do you get it?
You should have taken 8, I guess. It's really just always need more Always need more vaccines.
No, but I mean, it's just kind of to your point, leaving aside I think the vaccine's poison. I've thought that for a long time. Some people are fine when they take it. Other people, including a couple I know, or have their lives destroyed by it. But either way, whatever you think of how toxic it is, it clearly doesn't work. And so why is this still on the schedule? And why doesn't anyone say that? I just feel like we're living in this moment where the most obvious things go totally ignored.
Yeah, and also just the fact that there is essentially statistically zero risk for the vast majority of people from COVID. I mean, at this point, I mean, this was true in the original strains.
But it's clear that getting the vax and getting the boosters makes you more likely to COVID. I mean, that's the numbers seem to show that. I never got vaxxed. Not to brag, I hate to rub that in people's faces because I'm obviously very proud of it, one of my greatest achievements. But I got COVID once. I've been super healthy ever since then. I never wash my hands, never wear a mask. I'm like the dirtiest person you've ever met. I'm happy to breathe the breath of strangers on crowded commercial flights. I never got COVID again. Here's Fauci's had it 3 times. Biden keeps getting it. Like, what is that? Why does nobody say anything about this?
Yeah, well, same with me. Never got the vax. I had COVID twice, and it was mildly sick, and I would have rather not.
Yeah, me too.
But whatever, it's fine. And then I know so many people who got it, and some of whom had the same experience as me, got COVID a few times and just were mildly sick. A lot of them got it several more times than I did. And then I do know a few people who developed heart conditions, who develop different problems. And again, it's one of those things where, you can never with 100% certainty trace it to the vaccine, but it seems like the overwhelmingly likely thing.
What we can say is that it doesn't work.
For sure. And what we can say with 100% certainty is that the thing was sold on lies.
Hey, one thing that seems clear to me is that long COVID is being used potentially to mask, let's call it what it is, likely consequences of vaccines. How many people do you know that have got sick or potentially died where you have some deep inkling, unlikely to ever be demonstrated through clinical trial, for who would pay for such clinical trials, but that you suspect might have been caused or exacerbated by vaccine injury? People with heart conditions, people with turbo cancers, notably, God rest her soul, the former CEO of YouTube who lost her life. We're going to have to learn and investigate new methods of tackling new diseases. We're going to have to open our hearts to a new fusion of holistic medicine and pharmaceutical medicine, a new pharmacology undergirded not by industry and a constant desire and demand for profit, but for the Hippocratic creed to heal, to do no harm. We were speaking recently with Dave Martin, who plainly claims that Anthony Fauci is a sociopath. So let me know how you feel about the measures that you took during the pandemic, and let me know how you feel about long COVID and the incessant need for these booster shots. What's the motivation? I know what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and the chat. I saw in the Rumble chat there, John Seeks was saying, I bet you won't cover the Nord Stream explosions and German police reportedly seeking a Ukrainian diver. Now, the Nord Stream pipeline story is a fascinating one because now we are aware that we are in a global information war, and the American presidential campaign is likely to be, its greatest ever front. Why I say the Nord Stream pipeline story was so exciting is because when that story broke, we saw that wave of information. The Nord Stream pipeline, it was blown up by Putin. Putin did it himself. And then quite quickly, due to social media, we talk a lot about its eels and ales, but one of its benefits is new nodes and networks of communication can emerge to convey truth. Well, we're talking about the situation in Britain later and the potential threats of free communication, threats to the establishment. Potentially. Let's have a look at what those threats amount to. But the Nord Stream pipeline story showed us that the first wave of propaganda could easily be thwarted and opposed by an informed public. What do you imagine the establishment fears most? Misinformation that leads to unrest in the streets, or information that challenges the authority that they need to control us? Just let me know in the chat. Let's have a look at this story about the German police seeking the Ukrainian diver that presumably was involved in the explosion of the Nord Stream pipeline. Remember, at the time, we had Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL, on the show, and we asked, would you be able to do that? And he'd say, yeah, that'd be no problem. Blowing up a pipeline, I'd do that before breakfast, he said. And I don't think it was a euphemism. Let's have a look at this story.
German media are reporting that prosecutors here have issued an arrest warrant for a suspect behind the 2022 explosions on the Nord Stream gas pipeline. It is believed that the Ukrainian man was one of the divers who allegedly planted explosive devices. 2 underwater explosions were registered on the Nord Stream pipelines off the Danish island of Bornholm in September 2022, months after the start of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The pipelines were supposed to bring Russian gas into Europe, but were not in operation at the time of the blasts. DW correspondent Matthew Moore is standing by for us. Matthew, what more can you tell us about this arrest warrant?
Terry, this is a very significant development on a story that has drawn a lot of attention in the last 2 years. And the case had really run cold. And now, today, we've learned, according to German media, that in June, an arrest warrant was issued by Germany. A European arrest warrant was issued for an individual, a Ukrainian individual, with a link, with an address in Poland. As we heard, his name is Volodymyr Zed. We only know the first initial of his second name, according to German law. And this man is supposed to have worked with 2 other individuals, a woman and a man, all Ukrainian nationals, to have prepared the Nord Stream bombing in September in 2022. And until now, the German prosecutor has declined to comment on these reports this morning. So it's worth just pointing that out. But it's really a significant development because there hasn't been any news since early last year when German authorities searched a yacht on a seaside resort in northern Germany.
Even tonally, this news report is somewhat anomalous, isn't it, for those of us that have become accustomed to an unceasing deluge of fast and fatuous information. Just to pause and stop for a moment and be reminded that the Nord Stream pipeline was likely blown up by deep state operatives, potentially this person, although I would never miss the opportunity to say innocent until proven guilty, is a reminder of the power of new media, that they can convey their propaganda, but it will be countenanced. Most of us no longer believe them. Most of us no longer trust them. The next American presidential election will be a showdown between new media and old media. Certainly not my position as an English person, nor as a Christian, to tell you which way to vote, mostly because what do I know? But I do know what authoritarianism, bureaucrats, a new form of technological dictatorship looks like, smells like, tastes like. And the real fascinating aspect of it is it's a truly global phenomena. Whether it's Gavin Newsom in California, Keir Starmer in the UK, or any one of a number of political figures that are emerging to say, we must control agriculture, we must control information, we must deny the spiritual and divine dimension of human beings. There seems to be an agenda. You can feel it, can't you? I feel it too. Surely this is the opportunity for us to find new alliances, to use this technology and this ability to communicate immediately, to create a decentralized, unified opposition to their corruption, because we have the means now to expose their corruption. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments and the chat, guys. Now, we're going to be on YouTube for a couple more minutes. Then I'm going to move on to what's happening in my country. Lockdown Part 2, new laws, new rules, new authoritarianism. Amnesty International are even looking at the implementation of some of these rules. This is unprecedented power. This is part of the experiment for amplification of Prison Planet. Do you agree? Do you agree? Let's get into it. Before we do that, though, Let's enjoy CNN questioning the increasingly invisible Kamala Harris. Ever since it's been announced that she would be taking over from the ethereal and mysterious Joe Biden, who's disappeared like a breath of sepulchral dust blown from the crypt into memory. Who decided that this guy was no longer the presidential candidate? Who decided that that debate was just one fluff, grumble, stumble and mumble too far? Who was it that decided en masse that Kamala Harris was some new messiah? How is this coordinated campaign of hagiography and worshipful Time magazine covers being coordinated? How galling it is to witness the lack of scrutiny, the lack of policy, the lack of inquiry, damn it, the lack of democracy itself. Even CNN, and they're never shy of picking up the bugle and giving it a blast for the system, are beginning to question where Kamala Harris is, what she stands for, and what this campaign is about. Will the world change for you? Improve for you? Do they have the answer? Is the Democrat Party the solution for you? Let's see what CNN think.
In those states I mentioned, those Great Lake battleground states, Trump was underestimated by 9 points on average at this point in 2016. How about 2020? It wasn't a one-off. Look at this. He was underestimated by 5.
That's good. That's actually, I love this guy. He analyzes graphs on CNN, and he's one of my favorite CNN pundits because he's enthusiastic about graphs. But the bit I want to show you is this one, where they're talking about, you know, they're not condemning Kamala Harris, but they're curious about where she is. But you know that the Dems know that the way to beat Trump is to get out of the way. That's the tactic and game plan they mastered with Biden. Park Biden in the attic where he's happiest and let Trump stir up hysteria with what some people will consider to be witticism and charisma, and other people will consider to be demagoguery, what some people will consider to be plain common sense, and other people will consider to be fascism. Let's have a look at how CNN are taking to Kamala's strategy.
What's on the vice president's schedule today?
Well, she's traveling and talking to voters and getting her message out there to the American people, something that she's been doing from the very start of this campaign and something that she certainly did when she was President Biden's running mate as vice president. But look, you just mentioned the speech she's going to be giving in
that's right. I was asking about today, and I don't think she's got any campaign events on the schedule today, does she?
Well, she and Governor Walz have been traveling across the country. They hit nearly every battleground state last week. On the campaign trail, they raised $36 million within the first 24 hours of Governor Walz joining the ticket. And what she's going to be doing Friday is taking her economic message directly to the voters in North Carolina. I certainly don't want to get in front of exactly what she's going to say, but she's going to talk a little bit about how she's going to make sure that she's putting consumers first as part of her economic plan. She's going to take on corporate price gougers. She's going to take on junk fees. And that's something that, you know, John, she did when she was Attorney General of California, something she continued to do as the United States Senator of California. So she's going to be taking that message out to voters, and I look forward to seeing
Brilliant, isn't it, how propaganda works? And because the media space we live in is so immediate and responsive, you can see when they're like, right, we're just going to say someone's weird. We're going to try this tactic. We're going to present someone as stately. We're going to focus on their career as an attorney. We're going to put consumers first. I see you say in the Rumble chat, people are saying about that. Yeah, like, that's it. Is that it? Is that our aspiration? And what did you do? How did you live your life? I was a consumer. I consumed. I was granted the mysterious gift of life by an unknowable cosmic force that some might call Jesus Christ. And I spent my time eating and drinking and looking at stuff. And I made into my God's pleasure. And I made into my God's money. And I became a consumer. Now, I'm not seeking to judge anybody. I consumed a lot. I've consumed all sorts of extraordinary stuff in all sorts of very, very, very silly ways. But even an aspirational framing of Kamala Harris gives you this. She puts consumers first. Oh, yeah. Is that the ambition? Is that it? Is that what this election is about? Someone that will put consumers first. Take a breath and imagine what this world could be. Take a breath and imagine what paradise may be like. Take a breath and imagine what it would be to participate in love and to get beyond the prison that they're trying to construct for us. Let us awaken together. Hey, listen, YouTube, we're out out of there, baby, because we're going to start talking freely now. I love that platform. I love what that platform's done for us. But the fact is this. It has been co-opted by centralized authoritarian forces. It's nothing occult and draconian, maybe. I mean, I saw the Olympic opening ceremony. But media forces, commercial forces, political forces own Google Alphabet now. It was set up in ways that make that clear, and it's run in ways that make that clear. If you want the truth, if you want the uncensored truth, click the link in the description. Join us. We're going to be talking about the United Kingdom, and is it now part of the prison planet? Before we get into Keir Starmer,